You hold me.
Hi.
Daddy, I know that you love me through and through. You are so special to me, and I love you too.
You want more books, Hensley? What do you want to do? No? Getting set up here. I think we're live.
No, you think?
I never know.
You know, we hope so.
Never know. Never know. Hensley, one more book.
Is it that time?
It's 2 minutes still. Ugh.
Choppy.
I don't know what I can do. How choppy is it, Tiffany? Is it pretty bad?
Oh.
Hensley, that's not one book, babe.
That's a lot of books.
Come on, hop up here. Ugh. Pretty bad. Ugh. Man. I don't know what I can do.
It's like
Very bad connection. Usually it clears up after a few minutes or something, but I can't. I've already reset the router. That's usually what I know to do.
Peekaboo.
Dana, hey Dana Reynolds. Say hey.
Hey.
You like seeing yourself?
Yeah.
We'll keep. It says very bad connection on my end, which is usually not a good thing, but we'll keep.
I need to.
Hey, don't do any screaming. Do one more book with mommy, and you're gonna have to go. One more book with mommy. Make it a quick one. You get a quick one? Uh-oh.
peekaboo.
Is it
Only got
peekaboo?
about 20 seconds.
Peekaboo.
They're saying peekaboo.
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 You gotta hide, you gotta hide.
Like a bird.
You can fly like a bird. You wanna do monsters?
Okay.
You wanna do monsters before you go? Alright, let's do monsters before you go. Is it this one? Let's see if we can find monsters.
Hooray.
There we go, Hensley. You ready?
Right.
How do I get that down? There we go.
Right.
You're so scary.
Alright. Let's flip it back.
Mommy's turn.
As entertaining as that would be.
Mommy's turn.
Mommy's turn.
Mommy doesn't have to have that to look like a monster. Do you want to tell everybody good night?
Good
Aw.
night.
Good night.
It's time for
They're saying good
Hensley's bedtime. So you were just trying to wait up and say hi.
Hi.
Alright.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. Good night, sweetie pie.
Good night. Okay, come on.
Good night, Hensley.
Say good night.
Good night.
Marissa's gonna put her to bed, and we'll get going. Fred said good night, Hensley.
Good night.
She said good night. I don't know how this is gonna go with her trying to sleep while we do this, but it's getting dark earlier and earlier, so we don't really have a choice. Usually she's kind of like inside the RV playing in and around us outside, but when it's pitch black, that's what we'll have to do. It's just me. Actually, it's just me and Carl. Do you know Carl's here? Say hi, Carl. Carl's one of our patrons. He happened to be in the campground we're in. Tiffany's asking where we're at. Let's see. And you guys can share where you're at, too, if you want to do that. Javaris is from, he's in Jacksonville. We are out on the outskirts of Indianapolis, Indiana, which is not exactly right. Yes, that's the W. Carl you see all the time. Yeah. He won't be on the chat today because he's physically here, but if he has something he wants to chime in from. Oh, Mark's in from Canada. Hey, Mark. We're our route. So we went to Glacier National Park. Was kind of where we're heading from Grand Teton in our videos. We stayed there, and it was smoky the whole time, and we just gave up finally and started heading back. We were going to go south into Idaho or west into Oregon, smoke everywhere, so we just went east into North Dakota. And we just sort of kept going. They said you got a backstage pass.
Oh, all right.
But so today is money.
You're in Greenfield,
Indiana. Carl said it technically. So Pickerington, Ohio, suburb of Columbus. We've been to Columbus, Ohio, haven't we? What was in Columbus?
We ran a half marathon there.
We did.
We did.
Was that the one that was terrible? Oh, that one.
That
was
was
bad.
our very first half marathon, and we were super excited that they had a build your own burrito place. So
Yes.
our advice is do not eat a 5-pound burrito before you run a half marathon.
Yes. We did not learn a lot.
It was bad.
Mark says we're cutting out. I hope. I've already reset the router, which is like my one step I know to do on these live things. This live stuff is so frustrating. I know I complain every time, but it happens every time. So I test, it's okay, and then it comes time for the chat, and it's like, nah, the connection's gonna be bad. But hopefully it's not too bad. I hope you guys stick with us, because today's topic is pretty awesome on the Q&A, I think, and I hope you guys have got some good questions too. I just called it money to be broad. So frustrating, but we love it. I'm sorry, Mark. Thank you guys. So money. I don't like to talk about this one on YouTube. We've done 2 YouTube videos, and I kid you not, we have more thumbs downs on those videos than anything else I think we've ever done on YouTube. And so we try to avoid money. But money is a part of our being. And so we want to give you guys a chance to interact with us and ask us questions about money. And we may answer more and in more detail than we would on YouTube, because it's with you guys and not like all of YouTube. So she said the audio is great at least, so I'm glad the audio is good. I'm really sorry, guys, if it's choppy. And I'm really sorry if you can hear there's like a live band like within 50 feet of our door.
It's free background music.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate that. It's pretty cool staying here. We're in the same campground as Carl, who's with us here in the room, and it's a little bit different environment what we're used to. Most of the places we stay, it's like a in and out, you know. So people are here for a couple of nights, or they're here for a week, and then they leave. But the campground we're at right now, it's neat because there's like people here who live full time here, and so there's actually a group of campers. There's 4 of them, and usually you park side by side by side by side. Instead, they formed a bay. A bay. That's a good word, Carl. They formed a bay. We'll answer that in just a second. They formed a bay, and then have like shared picnic tables and lights up, and they do like sort of like concerts and stuff like that. So pretty cool to see that, like a community type thing going on. So we will start off. We got a couple of questions here, and I've got a lot of info, but I want to kind of lead the discussion in the direction you guys want to go to, so we'll be a little bit flexible with it. Oh, I can do that on this side too. Will says, is YouTube revenue dependable enough to cover your expenses? No. This YouTube expectations. So the first 6 months, we made nothing.
We busted it too.
We busted it, yes.
Yeah.
We were putting out 5 to 7 videos most weeks. Now, when I say we made nothing, a big part of that is because we didn't turn ads on for most of that. But even once we turned ads on, a year in, we were still making probably around $1,000 a month, something like that, on ad revenue. So if you want to live off of ad revenue on YouTube, I'm going to say it's very tough to do.
Well, our first 6 months, we didn't make anything. We didn't make our first $1 until like 6 months in, and then that's when...
So, and that's not to say don't do it. I view YouTube more as a way to build an audience that points to a product you have that actually does make money. So whether that's an app, or that's a physical product you ship out, or if that's you, if you're a musician of some sort, or, you know, for us, we are the product. We didn't mean for it to be that way, but we haven't built another product yet. Because if you build a product, it's more passive than if you're the product. So if something happened to us physically, or if we're no longer doing RVing, it'd probably be hard to do RV videos, at least to the extent we're doing like that. So that's the answer to that. But my suggestion is, if you want to do YouTube for revenue, use that as a springboard towards something else. I'm not saying don't do it and it's not bad, but don't think it's like the golden egg for income on the road. Let's see. Do you have a review of the quartzite convergence? I don't. We haven't been. You're talking about quartzite. Let's see. This is William asking. question. Do you ever review the quartzite convergence? You're talking about quartzite in Arizona, right, William? I guess we're going to assume if that's what he's talking about. We have not been out there. We may get out there this winter. Javaris asked for bloopers and gag reels.
We've been
Rissa's
talking
mentioned
about that. I think it would be great, but we've talked about it, so that might be coming. But
well, we've had so many videos and done it so long that I've got like a self filter in my head of what to say and whatnot. I don't know. We still definitely have bloopers and things we mess up on, but yeah, Frozen, man. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about the quality. I wish I could reset something, get something going. William said he was talking about quartzite, so we don't have anything on that yet, but we do hope to show that if we go out there. We may go out there.
It's in the works. We're thinking this winter. So. Or this January, right?
Yes. So we're hoping maybe January we might be out there. As a family, let's see. As a family travel expense, how do you budget your expectations, like medical care insurance? Let's get into some of the stuff I've got, and I'll build that one in, Jonathan. We want to start off with budget. You're asking about budgeting.
It's probably one of the biggest questions we get, and it's so hard to talk about budget. What is it?
Jigsaw.
Oh, and it's one of the hardest ones to touch on because you can spend as little or as much. It's kind of like living in a house. Everybody has different budgets in a house, so the RV world isn't much different than that. So it's hard to say, you'll spend X amount of dollars because that depends.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can spend as little or as much, and that's why people ask, well, how much does it cost to live on the road? Well, I can't say it's like a particular dollar amount, and so if it got better, what resource have you used to grow your video production skills? Okay, we'll look at that. We'll hold that one, Will. Let's see. All right. But budgeting, I guess some thoughts on budgeting, because that's what he was asking about medical expenses. We can start with the medical stuff. We do have money set aside. And let me talk about the way we budget first. First, we do zero-based budgeting, which that means that's just technical speak for we budget for what's coming up next. Like if you use like mint.com isn't zero-based budgeting. It's sort of like you look at what you already spent and you kind of figure out where it went and try to learn from that. Zero-based says, okay, here's what we're at zero at the beginning of the month and we're budgeting for what's going to happen the month ahead. So every month we sit down and we say, okay, do we have anything big coming up this next month? What do we need to budget for? And that was tricky in a house. And I'll be totally honest, it's really tricky in an RV because sometimes you don't know what things are going to happen. And so kind of my first suggestion is with the budgeting is if you're already budgeting with a house, know that when you're budgeting for an RV, have an even bigger cushion for that. So we have like a main emergency fund where if like stuff went major wrong and we couldn't travel, go anywhere, do anything, we're good for about, I'd say 4 to 6 months, depending on how long we live. We've got that money saved up where we could just hunker down and stay full-time somewhere and be okay while we figure out what to do. But then beyond that, we've also got money saved up in different categories. So we got money saved up for medical, we've got money saved up for repairs, because it's just, you just do not know, it's just way more iffy of what could happen because nothing's, yes, yeah, Mark mentioned sharing the financial details. That's something that's on our list. I would like to share from month to month specifics. And what I'm going to do is I'll give you guys generalities of how much we've spent on the road, which I think will be a good way to give you an idea of medical and all these other budget categories. So I guess starting out with what we spend, this one is the one that you wouldn't think this, well maybe you would if you watch our channel, but this one fluctuates seriously more than any other category we've got, other than maybe like repairs because something bad happens. Eating out. Like, you wouldn't think eating out. It could be anywhere from $50 one month to, no kidding, we've had like a $350 a month, which at least for us is a lot. That's a lot of money eating out. I mean, it might even be more than that some months.
But that's what makes it so hard on the road, because you're in a new place, so there's all these fun things to try, and like people will be like, you have to try this, and I'm like, yes we do, we have to try that.
We agree.
Yeah, so it's really difficult because it's not like you're in your hometown and it's the same restaurants and it's like, oh well, let's go for a treat and go out to eat. It's like, we're here, we might not ever be here again.
Yeah.
We need to try this. So it's really difficult to kind of reel that in sometimes. And I think in the beginning when we started, we spent way too much on eating out and food. I think that we were like terrified, like we've got to, you know, we've got to do this. We'll never be here again, and everything on my list we had to do. And I think then we realized, okay, this is a huge expense. We just can't eat every suggestion, every number one place to eat. So we kind of have to pick and choose.
Yeah, two big things I think we learned was, number one, when you're so if you go into a restaurant, especially if it's not like a typical chain restaurant you know about and you have no clue what they serve, no clue what the prices are. We've gotten burned so many times. We go in there and it ends up being a $50 pizza or a $20 hamburger, and you feel bad. You know, you're already sitting down, you got the menu, they already brought your drinks, and so we end up trying to like figure out what we can do. You know, so that's one thing. Avoid that. If we eat out somewhere, it's somewhere we already know what it is. We know it's like one of the top places to eat in the city. It's like a must do. That's number one. Number two, we started packing our lunch way more, and we seriously, you could save hundreds of dollars a month packing your lunch. And so that's my first one, is eating out. I'd say on average, we spend, thank you Tracy, we spend about $250 eating out on average. That's not groceries, that's not other stuff. That's still not good, but also take into consideration we're moving around every 3 to 5 days, and we're trying to show our audience some stuff too. So that would be lower if it wasn't for that. I think it'd probably be maybe like, it'd still be bad. It'd probably be like $150.
Well, food's our downfall.
It is.
For some people, they might not care about food as much as we do.
Gracelyn, since we're talking about food, she says, what about grocery store food waste? Have you figured out RV fridge method?
Well, I was talking to Grace about that. She was one of our neighbors in Teton View. It seems when it comes to groceries, the budget doesn't really change much from an RV to a house, is what we've noticed.
Sacrifices for yeah. I'm reading the comments while you're talking.
Well, when people ask, well, how much do you spend on food? It's really not changed much from our house. I typically cook the same meals, shop the same places. Every now and then when you're on the road, you have to shop at like a mom and pop place, and they can be a lot more expensive.
Or near a national park.
So my budget is like crazy during that time, and I try not to buy as much, and we get by a little bit cheaper. But other than that, the food thing is about the same as far as budgeting, but it seemed like there's a lot of waste. Like, I pack the fridge a little bit. We do a week at a time. We try to grocery shop a week at a time. And so because the fridge is packed a little bit more and it's smaller, I felt like things are ruining faster, if that makes sense. So
the stuff at the bottom, the way an RV fridge works, your cool air is coming from the top, and so it needs to have room to be able to circulate down to the bottom. And so when you put your stuff in an RV fridge, put the things that are going to spoil first. They leave the little trays at the bottom for like meat and stuff like that. Rice and beans and rice. Yeah.
We do. That's what I don't understand. We eat a lot of rice and beans.
Well, I like a lot of meat with my rice and beans.
That's probably the truth.
Rice, beans, and meat.
Because we don't eat anything fancy, but it's still like,
well,
it adds up.
So you got these little trays in the bottom of an RV fridge, but you got to be careful what you put in there, because realize that gets the least amount of airflow, and it'll ruin faster.
So I've tried to do like my meals, the things that ruin, I'm trying to think of those ahead of time and cook those first. And by the end of the week, I'm doing more of my like, frozen meats with canned stuff in the Instant Pot or something like that.
That's a good idea too. I've heard of people doing that. Talk about putting a small fan in the refrigerator. That helps with circulation a lot higher. So you can add, and I have heard of people doing that, and that might be an upgrade we do. Small fan in the fridge pushes that cold air down farther, and the stuff in the bottom doesn't.
We went through a lot of meat in the beginning. We weren't understanding what was going on.
Because you can't just turn your fridge, say, hey, I want my fridge colder, and just turn it down, because then your stuff at the top will start freezing too fast. So it's not really a cold issue, it's a circulation issue. And maybe if you have a newer fridge, or definitely a residential fridge in a large RV, you're probably okay. But we've got the tiny little Dometic one in there. So food, food's a big deal. You got to eat. Definitely ain't got to eat
more than others.
Yes, a small CPU fan would probably be. So that'd be a good idea for an upgrade. Let's see, small portable battery one. So that'd be easy. So I need to do that. To-do list. Every time we do these chats, I love these chats because you guys give me ideas too.
I think we learn more than everybody else.
So around $250 a month eating out. That would probably be $150 if we weren't filming as much. I'm gonna say at least, hopefully. Lodging. Now this is where it gets kind of cool to me, anyways, because we have we had a Class A in 2016, and so far we've had the travel trailer, the Airstream. By the way, we get people saying, why do you call it an Airstream? It's a travel trailer. But anyways, the travel trailer in 2017. And so a lot of these numbers I can give you what we spent in 2016 versus 2017, where we've kind of had the same lifestyle. We've traveled the same amount, but we've had two totally different modes of travel for RVing. So that's pretty cool to have that comparison. Lodging, which of course I'm referring to campgrounds and that kind of thing. In 2016, and these are around about, but pretty close, around $600 a month in 2016 is what we spent on lodging. Some months it was $900, $1,000 a month. Like if we're up, especially like Northeast, it's more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then some months we boondock like crazy, and you know, it may bring it down to $100 a month. So yes, that's true. So 2016, $600 a month. Again, that's an average. 2017, I'd say it's down about $100. And as I really think that's going to keep going down, to be honest, because with our Airstream, we've got more flexibility to be able to stay at more 30 amp spots. We can get into smaller campgrounds that are cheaper, and we're boondocking more with our Airstream than we did with our Class A. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year that's even down to $400 a month in the Airstream. And so even though up front may not be cheap to get an Airstream, and I'm not saying get an Airstream, you can get a used travel trailer, anything, but just because we have a smaller trailer and the way we're traveling now, our lodging has gone down. I think another factor too of why we're spending less on that is we've gotten more and more comfortable boondocking, and so we save more money by doing that. And
that just took time.
It does.
I mean, for us it did. When we first started out, I mean, when I heard about boondocking, I'm like, who would do that? That doesn't sound fun at all. So I think over time we've realized like the beautiful places you can stay when you're boondocking, and the money you can save goes towards other fun things you can do. So it's not about sitting in the trailer all day. It's about going and doing fun things. So that's been good for us. I think we've really enjoyed boondocking, and it just took us time to get there. We had to get comfortable and practice, and solar's been a game changer. That's really helped us.
Upfront costs, but you can save money in the long run.
Helped our boondocking game.
But this something too, like if you're thinking about how much money you need to spend per month to do this, know that even last year at $600 a month, we'd already been RVing for at least 6 months. Like that first 3 to 6 months you're RVing, like expect to spend more than that probably on lodging, because we did our first 6 months, because you've got so much to figure out. We'd never done anything in an RV really, and so we don't want to be figuring out boondocking and can my RV fit in there, and oh my goodness, what do I do? Am I going to get stuck? And you know, we just basically, we were looking almost for pull-through sites. We were just like, just give me somewhere safe to park and
something easy, out. Yeah.
Which is nice, but that kind of stuff costs more. So at the beginning, I would say plan on it costing more with the lodging, maybe than even those numbers. A couple of these questions on what we're talking about. Tiffany asked, has our budget changed since we switched from the Class A? I'd say, yeah, it has. That's the lodging so far. It's $100 less a month. And Mark said how much per month with the Airstream. It was $600 a month with the Class A last year, and it's $500 a month with the Airstream so far this year. But I really think we could probably, that may get down then.
And then gas too, like our fuel cost, has that changed and saved money?
Yes, yes. That's fuel's another one too we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. Mark said, I thought you said 100. Not on lodging. Oh, I said it could be. I think there's months where we boondocked 5 or 6 days, and then go get a full hookup for one night, and then boondock 5 or 6 days. So I think there are months we have got. That is by no means the average. There's some months that was like 900.
Well, that's what's cool about lodging, though, is when I was talking about you can spend as little or as much as you want. I mean, you can stay at fancy campgrounds and spend over $1,000 a month. Or I have followed people on social media who have not paid for a campsite in over a year. So I mean, that's
a bit extreme for us.
That is
you got a lot of friends
hardcore.
with long driveways or something going on. But.
Oh, sorry. That's very hardcore, but people do it, and so essentially, I mean, they're spending zero on lodging, but you would you would be moving around quite a bit and always searching for water and, recharging, but it's totally possible. So it's we kind of tend to land in the middle, we do, but we're slowly creeping our way down to doing more boondocking versus hookups. So
yeah,
we just have to recharge every now and then. That's been good for us.
Well, it depends on what part of the country you're in too. If you want to boondock in the east, it's not that you can't do it, but it's a totally different style of parking lots and friends' driveways. Versus the west, it's like if you're in the west a lot, it's super easy in the west. I'm not gonna say it's not easy, as in it's easy to find. You still have to put in a lot of work as far as like getting your resources and stuff. Let's see. Have you asked a campground for work to do get the site for free? We haven't. We've thought about it because I know people, especially like if you do drone footage, that's an idea too. And we'll talk about some stuff if we get there. But there's ideas on as far as things you can do to make money on the road. But exchanging services for staying at a campground is possible. I know RV Geeks. If you've heard of them online, they actually started off. That's how they started off, was building websites for campgrounds in exchange to stay there for free. And we met people who do the if you ever seen like when campgrounds they hand you like a brochure that gives you all the ads in the area and things to do and stuff like that. There's people we know that work for companies that do that, so they get to stay for free, and in exchange they put together an ad booklet and print it. So I mean there are definitely things you can do to stay for free, and you can also be a host, which is probably the most common actually. You just stay there for a season or
work camping
and all that kind of thing.
Clean the washrooms.
Yes, you clean up the bathrooms, you make sure people come in. Let's see, boondocking in the southeast during the summer is like living in a sauna. Yes. Jonathan, if you're that's the thing about boondocking too. Like it's if you can, it's a great idea to time it where you're in the right spot at the right time. It's a big part of that. So lodging, 620/16 with the Class A, 520/17 with the Airstream. Fuel, that's what we were alluding to earlier. That's also gone down since 2016. We were getting 7 miles to the gallon with our Class A gas motorhome versus we get almost 14 with our van pulling the Airstream, and we get 18 in the van, 18 or 19 somewhere around there when we don't have the Airstream behind us. So in 2016 we spent about $450 a month on fuel, and this is a lot. Keep in mind we move around a lot. The months where we don't move around, like I can see in the budget, it's low. It's like $100, $150, and then there's some months where it's really high. It's like $700 a month if we're trying to like push our way with the Class A across the U.S. or something. But we were averaging about $450 a month on fuel in 2016. In 2017, with the van and the Airstream combo, and again with the I'll backtrack. With the motorhome, we also had the Subaru that got 30 miles to the gallon, so that kind of balanced that out. Because these wouldn't even be close. If all we had was a 7 miles to the gallon motorhome, it would be horrendous for as much as we move around. Let's see. Convert it to liters. Oh, I can't do that. Thank you. I'm glad the video's cleared up. So 2017, it's about $100 less a month with the van and the Airstream combo, because again we went from 7 to 14 with the van versus the motorhome. So that's a big deal though. $100 a month. All this stuff every month adds up. But we have a smaller living space, so it makes sense that a lot of that stuff is going to go down with the Airstream. So that's gone down too.
Well, that was one of the reasons we liked the Airstream. I mean, that wasn't the main reason we wanted to make the switch, but that was one of the appealing things is, hey, it's obviously going to save us money because it wasn't as expensive as the Class A setup, and, like you're saying, it's a little bit cheaper for us.
Well, we save money. We honestly, and I'm not, and this isn't me saying get a travel trailer instead of a motorhome.
It's not for everybody.
That's not. No, for some people, the motorhome, we're still going to say it might be a better fit for what you want to do. And if you need a 40-foot motorhome, you need a 40-foot motorhome. Don't get a 30 one to be miserable.
Yeah.
Let's see. How did you choose the van? Okay, well, we can hit that. We'll hit that in a second, Dan. Said I broke up when I talked about the van. Okay, I'll talk about the van too. So don't get something you're going to be miserable in, but if you can, we felt like we could live in a 30-foot RV, and so we got the 30-foot RV, and so that's why these costs went down. And it'd go down even more. If we could live in a van, which won't happen with Hensley, but if we could live in a van, these costs would continue to go down in a van, because it'd be a smaller RV, basically. You said, how did we choose the van? And I'll answer Foodbar's question, too. Basically, I looked at the mileage between a gas van that we wanted. Are you asking about a van versus a truck, or just that specific van? go. I'll let you answer that real quick, Dana, and then I'll come back to it. I'll answer Fubar's question, then come back to Dana. Fubar said, "What was the van Airstream mile per gallon? It broke up. We're getting around 14 miles a gallon. Some places we get 11, some places we get 15. I'm going to say it's probably 13.5 average when we're pulling the Airstream with the van, which is pretty good, to be honest, because even like your diesel motorhomes, a lot of them aren't going to get that. Your diesel trucks pulling stuff isn't going to get that. A lot of people I talk to, yeah, the vans with the high roofs are expensive, Emma. Let's see. Dana didn't get back to me. I don't want to forget his question. How did you choose the van? So we chose a van over the truck, first of all, because the van had storage. We felt like the storage was going to be easier and better with the van, with the doors that open up in the back, and I could organize things. We also chose the van because Marissa has to go to the bathroom a lot.
Have a small bladder.
So she'd have access to the toilet in the van, which we've used that thing. It's been nice.
Let's just say we don't just use it for that. It's like we go on a hike, and I mean, in the national parks, the lines are forever long. Or we show up somewhere and we're like, oh, you know, we're gonna have to go searching for a bathroom or whatever, and it's like
we have Hensley too now.
Yeah,
so,
it's like, I mean, just use the van, and then we can clean that out whenever we get to a spot. So that has been super handy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one thing that the Subaru didn't have, or
shouldn't have. It'd be really
that'd be
hard. We also got it so we have a toddler, and so Marissa can get out and sit with Hensley if she needs to in the seat while we're going down the road, which we couldn't do in a truck. She could turn around and try to do things turned around, but not nearly as good as the van. And so I think if you have a wife or someone with you who doesn't have to use the bathroom a lot and you don't have a kid, you might lean more toward the truck. I think the storage thing is nice, but that's not as big a deal as the other two things for us. How we chose that particular van, I was looking at vans, and the gas ones got 7 miles to the gallon, and then I read that a diesel one would get possibly double that, which I'm not all about paying. So if the gas one was, say, $10,000 and a diesel van was $25,000, that wouldn't be worth it. I'd never get that money back. But the gas vans were like $9,000 or something, $10,000, and I got this diesel van for like what, $10,500 or something like that. Under $11,000, I got this 2007 diesel van with like 80-something thousand miles on it.
Oh, and that's something else we liked. It was much cheaper than a truck. That was the
less
same
than
year
half
and
the
the
price
same miles, so we were going to save like $10,000, and we're like,
It'd take a long time to get that back with the truck. It wasn't just about the money though. If a truck was the right fit, we would have got a truck. But that was definitely an added bonus that the van was less than half of what a similar truck would have been. And so I wanted a Chevy or GMC van, because the Fords, if you ever look at the Ford, the E350s, the back hangs off. When you get a longer Ford van, they just extend out the back of the van. So when you put a trailer on it, it pulls down the back of the van. Now, if you get something pretty sturdy like the Morgue Explorer with the four-wheel drive and everything and great suspension, it's not as bad. But you got to be careful with the Fords because they extend out like that, especially with a 15-passenger Ford. And so I lean more. I like the Duramax engine, and so we went with that. It was kind of the thinking on the diesel and all that stuff. So hope that Dana said thanks. So I think I hopefully hit some of that. Yeah, Tiffany said total monthly expenses is cheaper than when you live in a sticks and bricks, right? And so that question, I'll get some general, I guess, numbers on that. The way we travel, if you move around every 3 to 5 days, I'm going to say it's going to be really similar as far as what you're spending. By the time you pay for things that tear up faster, by the time you pay for fuel, the wear and tear on stuff, and by the time you pay for all the lodging, because when you're staying places every 3 to 5 days, it's more expensive than if you stay a week at a time or a month at a time. But having said that, if you try to frequently stay places maybe a week at a time, or if you try to stay places, or you boondock a ton, or if you stay places, especially if you stayed a month at a time, those are I'm going to bet those are going to be cheaper than sticks and bricks almost every time.
And I think it depends on what people are paying now, like how much is their house payment.
Yeah, it depends on that.
You know, how much are their taxes? How much? I mean, what are their payments? You know, if you're downsizing and you're getting rid of, you don't need all the multiple cars, and I think then it would be cheaper. So I think it's all relative to what you get rid of, honestly, and how much you downsize. I mean, you can I mean, they make $1 million RVs, you know what I mean?
Well,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
it's a very general statement.
some
I'm
people,
saying.
I mean, they'll put everything on a payment and they kind of go up, I guess, and then think it's going to be cheaper. And then I think it's all about what you choose.
Yeah, if you sell a $150,000 house and turn around and buy a $150,000 RV and put it on payments, I mean, not only is your vehicle going to be going down like crazy, your payments still may be close to what they were before, and I mean, it's not going to be that much cheaper. So it depends on a lot of stuff, but in general, apples to apples, if you travel and move around like crazy, probably not going to save a ton of money, but if you're cautious with it and stay places a little bit longer, I think you can save really good money if you're really careful.
And that's one thing we've said, if we ever got in a bind, we would just slow our travel down. But the reason we speed it up is because we like to go home and visit family, so that kind of makes things...
Well, we want to show things too, and that's what our channel is. It's, you know, it's not less junk. Every 2 months we'll show you a journey. It's, you know, so we try, you know, and we don't do it just for the channel. That really is our personality. Whether we're doing this channel or not, we'd probably be traveling close to the same.
Well, we like to
anyways.
we get kind of where we're ready to move. You know, we get the itch, and then so we're kind of all or nothing. We travel, and then we're like, we go home and we rest and we spend, you know, a month with family, and we just kind of like do our thing in Tennessee. So that's been what's worked for us. But everybody's, you know, their situation's different and their personality's different than ours. But
I'm gonna say, this is real general because it's off the top of my head. Our house payment, insurance, taxes, all that stuff on our house was somewhere around $1,200, $1,400 a month. We'll say $1,300 a month, and then like our vehicle, which we don't have a payment on our vehicle, but like lodging and fuel and all that, which we already had fuel anyways with the house, is maybe like, I don't know what, 800 maybe, 900, something like that.
yeah.
And then we got some other expenses on top of that for extra entertainment. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close the way we travel. It might be a little bit less even for us the way we travel. With the Airstream, I'd say it's a little bit less now.
The difference is too, we're getting to enjoy those things. We were paying for this is when I had the realization we were paying for things that we weren't getting to enjoy. So yeah, we had the house, we had the cars, but we weren't getting, and we might do things on the weekend together as a family. But with this, I mean, we've got so much more family time, and we've got like we get to go and do things more. So we're spending more to go and do things, but we're not putting it towards something that we're leaving every day, like our house where we leave it to go work, to pay for it, and we don't get to enjoy it. So we're, in exchange, we're getting to enjoy our things a little bit more, if that makes any sense at all.
So we got a few questions with it. Let's see. Seeking Serenity, isn't insurance cheaper on the van than a truck? That was on here too. Insurance, let's see. In 2016, we were paying $105 a month for the Airstream and the Subaru.
The Airstream and the Subaru.
Airstream and the Subaru, that'd be pretty. I don't even know what I'm picturing there.
Who would pull who? I don't know.
Well, you can pull an Airstream and a Subaru, but not the combo we have.
Yeah.
Not the Forester with a 31-foot Classic. Yeah, so with our motorhome in the Subaru in 2016, the insurance was $105 a month, $75 for the Class A, and around $30 a month for the Subaru, which is crazy for a 2007 Subaru. And then 2017, we're paying $60 a month, which is $30 a month for our Airstream, which I thought was low, honestly. And it's $30 a month for the van, so we're paying $60 a month, and this is full coverage. This is, they know we're living in it full time. It's not like me calling up and saying, yeah, we use it on the weekends twice a year. They know. We use Geico insurance, and they asked me how many days of the year. I said 365. You know? So they know it's full time. We haven't had anything happen with insurance where we've had to test it out. We have had to use the roadside assistance, which I highly recommend. I think it's only like $2 extra a month through Geico, and it was around $100 a month. And that was more expensive too for the roadside assistance with the Class A. We used Coach-Net, I guess is what we.
Well, we had Coach-Net with the fifth wheel,
and we used it. It worked. I mean, you get your money back.
And
have
then we had
assistance.
Geico
You
with
have that.
the Class A.
Yes. Oh, we used Geico with so we did have Geico with the Class A. Okay. So, but yes, to answer that question on the insurance has been cheaper than almost half of what it was with the other combo. Let's see. Is there any expense you expected to go down or vice versa from sticks and bricks? Wondering what surprised you. In the beginning, I think the lodging surprised us just because we weren't. Our very first place we stayed after we bought our first travel trailer was we were rushing looking for somewhere to stay because we couldn't find anything, and it was a Jellystone. It was like almost $80 a night, and our first thought was no one can live like this.
We're like, how do these people afford this?
You know, it's twice our house payment. Right? So, yeah. So I think starting off, the lodging expense really surprised us because we're already kind of in the east in Tennessee. There's not as much boondock. We're like, what's all this boondocking everybody's doing, or how are people saving money for free? And but we eventually learned that the places that are front and center, the places that maybe have the best advertising, or basically the places that have the more amenities a place has, the more you're going to pay for that. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. Sometimes you want those amenities, but sometimes if you don't need those amenities, then you can save money by not buying them. So we had to just kind of learn, and that was kind of goes back to the thing. Your first 6 months, especially your first 3 months, expect to pay more than you think you will on probably eating out and probably like lodging.
And just buying things like for your travel trailer or whatever, your RV, because you don't know what you need. I feel like we went through a lot of stuff. Like we were like buying all this stuff on Amazon and we're like, we're not even using that. We don't need that. And it's like, what do we need? So I feel like maybe you're going through a lot more stuff trying to figure it out. It's just it's a process in the beginning.
I don't think much else surprised us too much. I think the fuel was about what we expected. Repairs were higher than we thought with the Class A. That's something we could talk about in the next category. Insurance was, I felt like it was reasonable. I get it, you know. Most of that stuff was pretty on par with the value of what we were driving. Let's see. Do you list your van with your insurance company as a passenger or cargo? So, you know, I don't know that they asked me about that. I don't know if that, and not that I'm trying to be deceptive. I just told them the van, the model, and they knew what we were using it for. And so I don't know. I might actually need to check on that and see. Let's see. Tiffany says she hopes to buy her Airstream next month, live in a park for at least a year, and save up and have zero debt. Crazy.
That's awesome.
And that's something you'll see. People buy something and they live somewhere and they just sort of, you know, move around when they can.
You could save if you were stationary. You could really save.
How do you fit in work? Let's see. How do you fit in work? For me, because we have a toddler, I get up early in the morning. That's 2 or 3 hours early in the morning, sometimes an hour at night after she's already on the bed. Pretty much I'm just working when she's sleeping.
And for me, because we have a toddler, I do not get up early.
Yeah.
She wears me out.
But, and a lot of our work, and granted a lot of our work is work and play mixed because we do a lot of filming and a lot of talking and moving around and stuff. And so, but for me, the majority of what I do work-wise, solitary work. But I've learned I can get done more, like 3 hours. If I get up 2 or 3 hours before everybody else and I get 2 or 3 hours of work, it's like twice as much as what I might get done during the day. I mean, I love these girls to death, but it's every 5 minutes. Nathan, where's this? And Hensley's like, Daddy, you done yet? Because some days I get behind and I have to do something during the day. And I've learned that, oh man, it's way harder. That's about the cost of Geico down here in Florida. Okay, let's see. Haven't seen any more videos with Amazon purchases lately. Must have gotten out of your system. Yeah, we don't have room for anything either. Is kind of the problem.
we capped out.
Bill came in courtside. Yeah, we talked. We are hoping to get to courtside. We hope. We're not saying for sure, but it's on our radar because we've already done Florida and we've already done Texas.
Well, we were planning on doing it, but we're gonna do the RV Entrepreneur Summit that Texas that Heath and Alyssa Paget put on, and that is the end of February sometime. So because we will be coming from Tennessee because we're heading back to Tennessee now to do holidays with the family. So we'll leave again after the holidays. So that means we would go all the way out to Quartzsite, and then we would have to drive all the way back to Texas for that summit at the end of February. And then we were planning on doing the West Coast, so then we would have to drive it's like a 30-hour detour to do it. So we haven't decided.
It's gonna be a lot of driving,
but I think that's the plan.
Hensley's getting a little better and better in the car too. As she gets older, she's traveled a lot better too, and so I don't know. We'll see. We might do a lot of night driving. I don't like doing night driving, but
we're hoping they're gonna invent.
I love night driving.
The RVs that.
If you didn't hear us at the beginning, Carl's in here with us. He's a. They're like, what in the world? He's a patron, and he would happen to be in the campground with us here. Let's see. So budgeting, I've got so much. I'll release these notes to you guys when we get done, because there's no way we're gonna get. I make way more notes than we'd ever get to. I guess since we've been talking about budgeting, the app that we use for budgeting is called You Need a Budget, which it's funny, Marissa said she had a friend call her and say, what should I use for budgeting?
No, she sent me a text. She said, what do you guys use for budgeting? And I texted her back, you need a budget. And she said, I know we need a budget. That's why I'm asking you. What do you use? And I'm like, no, it's called You Need a Budget. So,
some people say YNAB for short or whatever. But check it out if you don't have a budgeting app. It's a great app. And a lot of this stuff we've talked about, like, you can go ahead and practice and start working on now. Because if you don't know how much money you're spending in a house, and the money might seem a little bit out of control at home and you don't have a budget at all, or at least know where stuff's going, I can tell you it gets, because I felt like I had a pretty good grip on our money in our house, but man, once we got on the road, it's not that it's significantly crazy more expensive, but it's just there's way more variables, and you gotta lasso that thing, man. You gotta get a grip on it, try to figure out what's going where, because before you know it, you'll look and be like, oh my goodness, we spent $350 eating out, or something nuts like what we talked about. Let's see. Insurance? Can we do insurance real quick? I don't know. Is that money-wise, I guess? Real quick, insurance. We take out private insurance. It's $600-ish a month. But I don't talk too much about insurance as far as because it totally varies from person to person, couple to couple. Your background, your history, what you're willing to get. We got high deductible stuff. And so I don't know, and the reason I want to mention these other options for insurance is because I don't know what will happen down the road for insurance as far as what might change.
You're talking health insurance.
Yes, sorry, health insurance. I didn't even say that, did I? So health insurance is what we're talking about. I hope we're not cutting out. This is very bad connection again.
I haven't seen a comment in a while.
That's probably, well, that's insurance. Everybody's like, falling. But my fear is if health insurance got really bad, a couple of options we have heard about that people have looked into for insurance. I say insurance. It's actually not insurance. It's called medical cost sharing, and you might have heard of them. One's called MediShare, and one's called Liberty Health Share, and there may be other companies that do the same thing as well. And so basically the way these medical cost sharings work, it's not insurance, but it will keep you from having to pay the penalty for not having insurance, and it's just sort of like a share where you still pay a monthly fee. And for the most part, people we know that have used these have been very pleased with these as far as them getting covered when things go wrong. They do have they're high deductible. You can't, the difference between these and regular insurance, from what I understand, is you can't go do something crazy. So if you're skydiving and you get hurt, or, you get worse than hurt, I guess, skydiving, but you're feeding sharks or whatever. If you're doing something crazy, Tiffany said they have it, it's very inexpensive. If you're doing something crazy, a lot of times these places won't cover you. Or if you have smoking, I think smoking's a big no-no with those too. So you got to read all the fine print on what they cover and what they don't. But if you're reasonably healthy and you're okay with high deductible stuff, and your private insurance quotes are crazy, those are some options too that people we know have been pretty happy with them that we talked to. Nobody said I had that, it was terrible, and I swapped.
Yeah, we have really close friends that use it and love it too. So a lot of times what they'll do, and I guess you're going to get into that, is they'll add this other part on, is you can do like the teledoctor stuff. So you can do a monthly fee for that. So they'll have a cheaper insurance. Say they do the MediShare, that's high deductible but cheaper. And then they'll do like the teledoc stuff, which is where you can pay a monthly fee. I think it's it ranges $16-20 a month for your family, and then you can always like virtually talk to a doctor. And then they can even call you in prescription. So it's more for like, say, we had a cold or a sinus infection or something that we, wanted to...
Need a baby delivered. She's not. I shouldn't say. I'm sorry.
You start the rumor mill.
That was bad. Off my head. But, joking all around on that. But yeah, like any of those things going on.
Yeah, you can virtually have a doctor's appointment. And they said it's been awesome because... you don't have to go to an office, wait in line. They could just call your prescription in. It's done in 5 minutes. So people will do those two together. So one's like for catastrophic stuff, and the other's just when they need like the little, doctor's visits.
So it could be helpful. We've been pretty healthy so far, so we haven't taken that one on, but that might be an option, and we may look into that down the road too, to add that on if we didn't have like private insurance. Okay, last area I had. If you guys want to, you guys may have questions about this too, or if you guys want to share ways you've done this. But how in the world, when it comes to money, probably the biggest hurdle for people, for a lot of people, is how do I make money from the road? And we wanted to share just a few of the things we've seen that people have done that maybe are outside the box, or maybe they're just kind of obvious, or maybe it's like just a tiny twist on maybe some things you've already heard about. And I did see, I think it was Tiffany mentioned the RV entrepreneur. Let me start with that. If you want to see a bunch of examples and interviews and in-depth ways to make money on the road, check out Heath's podcast. It is a good podcast. That's basically what he does on his podcast, is bring in people who make money on the road as RVers and interviews them and how they do that. So that's a wealth of knowledge. That's a good resource that we've seen online for stuff like that. So let's see. Yes, RVers are independent wealthy.
We get that a lot.
Yeah, well, my daddy said I had to give the RV back at the end of this year, so we'll let me. That's what what are the two things? We're either independently wealthy or I don't know. But
that's usually it. They're like, parents give you a bunch of money. We're like, we wish.
So, and we do make a lot of our money. You know, a lot of our living is from YouTube and from video, sources and things like that now. But we do have other things with rental properties, and we've also seasonal upholstery. Let's see. But when we started off, our ways of making money, our plan at least on the road that we used for half the time we've been on the road, that was our primary way of making income, was Marissa's a nurse, and she was looking into doing like travel nursing, and then I basically made all my money online through web design, SEO, and that kind of stuff. But some other stuff we've seen on the road, we've seen some people who take their current job, like in an office, especially if it's something technical or something that's on a computer with a phone, and they negotiate down they're okay with negotiating down their salary if they can work from home. And it's usually like a win-win if you have a good relationship, because your employer saves money by you not having to pay for your office space, and they save money through maybe paying you a little bit less, but you're okay with getting paid less because you don't have to commute to work anymore, and you have the convenience from working at home. And that's something, if you can do that now, even if you start working from an RV later, a lot of people we know they work it where they can start working from home, and then when they get on the road with an RV, they just don't tell their employer.
Don't listen to him. You're not telling people to do that. We have met.
I'm just saying I've met people that do it. We've met 2 or 3 people that have done that.
Well, they do that, and then they come like a year later, and they're like, "You didn't even know I was gone." Like, what?
Yeah. So if somebody does find out a year later, like, well, you can't fire me. I mean, I've been doing this for a year.
So they kind of prove that it can be done first, but we're not condoning that. We're just saying it's an option that we've met. People that do that.
Okay, so there's location dependent stuff. If you're willing to move around, especially if you're with a large company, a lot of times there's positions, and even if you're with a small, let's say you're in a small company in a certain field, I don't know, some home inspections, or I don't know a good example, but if you're in a small field and maybe the company you're with doesn't have anybody who travels from, if it's a franchise, travels from location to location, you could possibly get a job with a company that's larger that does have someone who gets paid to travel from location to location, and usually get paid pretty well if you're willing to move around like that. And you could do that as a location-based business for moving around. We have seen that as well. We've seen income based on demand. So like Amazon, Christmas season's coming up. You can make a buttload of money by doing things like, we've seen Amazon, we've seen people like picking beets for I don't know, like a month or so. They're making like $2,000 a week picking beets or something crazy because they were in demand and they had to have them. So you look for things that are in demand in a certain season or a certain area.
There's woofing too, like where you can go like on a farm and work on the farm and kind of move around. And it's kind of like work camping, but it's like you're doing that for a farm, if that makes sense. But we've met people who've done that too.
Let's see. Construction work, disaster relief, hurricanes, storms, if you're into construction at all. Those are definitely areas, and Marissa was getting calls too for nurse in Texas, that are wanting nurses down there. We've seen people follow the storms. They're storm chasers, but they chase the storms so that they can do repairs after the storm. So they do hail damage repair on vehicles, or they repair houses, or maybe if you're a roofing contractor, you do roofs. You know, if you have a special area that you can specialize in, and you can follow disasters, and there's more work than people can handle when stuff like that's going on. Solar install. These are two kind of cool ones, I think, like kind of up and coming, I guess. RV repairs are insanely expensive. RV repairs are insanely backed up at a lot of places too. So if you can be certified or know what you're doing with RV repairs, you could either go to areas where there's a large number of RVs, or you can follow events like the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, Quartzsite, but you go places that have large numbers of RVers and you repair RVs, or and I say that you don't even have to do it year round. A lot of this stuff, if you make a lot of money, just at maybe 2 or 3 big events a year, it might even be enough to stay on the road. Solar install would be one too. If you go to some of these events or large places and do like a ton of solar installs for people, would be an option. Marissa knows people that sell stuff online.
Yeah, they sell products, do online boutiques. Like, I know a lot of the women who do that kind of stuff too. So there's lots of options. You just kind of have to be willing to maybe try something new or put yourself out there. There's blogging. I mean, people do affiliate income with blogging and
like Amazon affiliate stuff. Let's see.
Sometimes it's just thinking.
Have you guys thought of other stuff that? Yeah, like I think, and to me, the number one thing I would take away, and I did this for years. Young living is a good example of what I was mentioning. I like the phrase that's came out. People are using more often. It's called side hustle. So even if you've got a job, look for something you can do on the side, some sort of skill or some sort of business, or maybe something you could sell just on the side. Just hustle just a little bit and have that side income. And whether you RV down the road or you don't, that gives you a little bit more stability of something that's kind of yours. So even if you lost your job or you had to move, or if it grows into something really big, I mean, we didn't plan on really doing YouTube full time. We were just kind of doing it on the side. Not even really, I don't know if you call it side hustle. It was just like something we wanted for our family and friends. But we were hustling on the side doing that, and it kind of grew into something. So you never know what something's going to grow into as well.
Yeah, we realized our family didn't watch our stuff.
Yeah, that too. We're like, we got to figure out somebody else to watch this stuff because our family. So mom's like, so where you been? I'm like, Mom. You know. Tiffany mentioned editing wedding photos. Yes. There's Scott coming in at 56 minutes. Hey, Scott. Scott made it in though. That's what counts. Let's see. Okay, that's I did shotgun questions. You guys got random questions? I had one at the very beginning that I said I would get to at the end. I shouldn't do that because it's all. Now I gotta look through everything. Let's see. Oh boy, we got a lot of stuff. Do you remember what that question was at the beginning?
Mm-mm. You mumble.
I'm sorry. Well, if you guys have got shotgun questions, we got a couple minutes for that, and then we'll probably... I know it was Will C, I think, that was asking it. He had some question. I said I'll try to get... I think it was Will C. Man, I don't remember what the question was. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. Yes. I knew it was... Thank you. He even copied and pasted it for me. What resources have you used to grow your video production skills? The number one thing I've done is I watch people that are better than me at it. And it's not that you're trying to copy, but you can always learn new things. Just like a quick little thing they do on the intro, or one tiny little fade in, or how they vary the music a little bit. And I think it's like that in life with a lot of things. If you're, a lot of the times, if somebody's selling a course on how to do something, like they may or may not even know, they may know what they're talking about, they may not. But a lot of times you want to watch, they may be an expert at selling the course, but they may not be an expert at what they're talking about. I don't know if it'll make any sense or not. Especially since I have a course. It's really bad. That's why you don't go live, Nathan. I'm just kidding. Hopefully I do know what I'm talking about. But I'm trying to think of an example. Like, watch what people do, not what they say, I guess, if that makes any sense. So watch what people are actually putting out, the content they're putting out. And that's what I've done a lot with video production, is I see something, I say, man, that's really cool. How do they do that? And then I go try to figure out how in the world to do that. And I try to see if I can find the right way for that to fit into my videos. And so I just kind of experiment with different things. The video's cool because you can always be growing and always be trying to do more with it. I think I answered that. Let's see. Oh yeah. Let's see. Sweet internet. Bad internet. Have to get. Okay, sorry. All right. See, Scott. Did my RV get sold? No. It's still in Alabama. It's a sore subject.
We have recently, which is very sad actually, but something we probably should have done a long time ago is we took Hensley's room out and put the closet back in, and we're hoping that we probably should have done that from the very beginning. We just limited our market really bad by leaving her space in there. So it's a good thing, but it's kind of emotional too, seeing her room get taken out.
So we'll see what happens since we swapped out that closet, and it's like getting to be the bad time of the year again.
Yeah, you want a Class A in the winter.
Tiffany says Audrey wants to meet us, especially loves Hensley. Really, that I read that as in she wants to meet Hensley, which is
that's why everybody wants to meet us.
They're just being nice, and they'll talk to us too.
Well,
but definitely, Tiffany, we'd love to meet you.
We need a
too.
way that we know where our patrons are. And
we do. We're
they
working
know
on
where
something.
we're at. We're kind of working on that. So definitely let us know where y'all are at.
Do you regret not buying a Honda generator? I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna call Champion, see if I can work out the propane stuff, because I still like the idea of being able to run off propane if I can do it. It's cleaner, it's better on the engine, and we've already got 2 giant propane tanks in the front. But if Champion doesn't own up to what's going on, and I can install a capacitor on my AC and it can start the AC, but it's just my personality. I'm like, I can rig my stuff to make something work, but I'm like, I shouldn't have to rig my stuff. So I don't know. My answer is I don't know yet. But if things don't go well with Champion, then I'd definitely say I'd lean toward that. Starting over from scratch with nothing with what I know now, I would probably lean more toward the Honda right now. But that's not to say I regret it. Maybe that is saying I regret it. As far as entrance fees to attractions, events, how do you decide what to see, attend based on prices, fees? Do you bypass stuff for price or try to see as much as you can? It's a combo. Some stuff you're just stuck. It's like super touristy. It's way overpriced. Everybody knows it, but there's nothing you can do about it.
You're like,
I'm trying to think of good examples, but you go to some places and it's just like the must see, must do type thing. We do lean more toward the biggest bang for your buck is like the national park system stuff and stuff that's owned by the government, like even Mount Rushmore or things, anything that's owned by the National Park Service, I guess I should say, which isn't necessarily national parks. Like you get to see really cool historical stuff that's so cheap. Like you can tell when something is owned privately versus something that's owned by the National Park Service.
They do a good job making it affordable for people.
Yeah.
And that's been really fun for us. But sometimes we just kind of have to say how important is it, and maybe say, okay, well we're doing 2 things that are for Hensley, like a zoo, aquarium, like that stuff can get really expensive, and we're like, well, we did a zoo at our last place, so we won't pay for that one here. Kind of thing. So we just kind of have to pick and choose.
Seeking Serenity, what type of brand of house batteries do you have for the solar? It's just a Walmart brand. Wow, I can't think what they're called now. Maybe somebody else can think of it. But it's just a marine battery, solar. That's what we use for our solar. It wasn't anything special. I either wanted to go the route or get something really nice, really expensive. But the problem is I get the feeling anyways, I'm hoping that technologies, I think the lithium stuff is up and coming, and I'm hoping it won't be crazy bad in a year or 2. It might still be. That was my thought, was that I didn't want to spend a buttload on AGMs and then realize that lithium might be within reach. Let's see. You guys seem to like the How to Tell Stories. Okay.
Well, gas mat technology is coming on too, so that may be a big change. So you invest too much into one technology.
Well, and that's our take on a lot of stuff. Just buy what you need. And I understand you don't want to buy what you need hazardly or where you can't build off it at all. So we tried to do a really good job on things we knew that would last for a while, like the panels and the wiring and stuff. But let's see. Artie says he's 4 hours north. We just came from the north. I wonder where he's at.
Oh, we did.
Actually, yeah, Mark said you opened this to all patrons. I didn't really talk about that at the beginning, but this was open to all patrons, and I definitely see some new people in here, and I'm glad to see you guys.
Yeah.
We bought other items that you recommend. Very happy with it. Thank you, T&K. Saying something about like affiliate items and stuff. We do try to only show stuff that we use, that we really believe in, and then we're trying to be honest about it if later on it doesn't work out and we move on to something else. So that may also be why companies have not worked with us as much. But no, companies that work with us have loved to work with us because we're honest, we're genuine, and we want to build long-term relationships. And so we try to not flood our channel with stuff and what we do show. Do we have a park pass? Definitely. We definitely have a park pass, and I 100% recommend getting a park pass. We get that money back in like 2 weeks usually.
Yeah.
He's in Lansing. We almost went that way. We were going to explore up there, but we didn't think we could do it justice. Let's see. Georgina's from Texas. All right. Well, guys, I guess we're gonna wrap up. Got anything else?
Did we answer everything?
I think so. If we didn't, seriously, if we didn't, like, shoot us a message or text us. We're here for you guys. We really are. We love doing these. We love learning new things, and just thank you so much for checking in.
We appreciate it, and we try to get to all your comments and questions. So if you have anything, definitely we want to be here for you.
Nova Scotia. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
We would like to.
Sure. we want to do some more outside of the box travel.
Yes, and we want to come to Michigan too.
Yes.
Did you farm Hensley out for the night? No, she's actually asleep. We're doing this pretty late, so we laid her down at the beginning. I cannot believe she slept through this.
I'm surprised.
She must have been worn out.
She was exhausted. We traveled today, so she didn't nap. She's tired.
We appreciate it, guys, and we will catch you later. Right?
Yeah.
See ya.
Thanks for letting me sit in.